in the studio of Nicolò Brezza in LIA. And Nicolo is an artist from Italy, Trieste. You came here about 2 months ago. You have studied art in Bologna and Perugia. What was interesting to me is you studied film, and then you made a master's in sculpture and in painting in Perugia. Is this very typical in Italy, that you change your universities and also that you study different media?
I guess it's not really typical, because usually, especially for art students, you begin in an academy and you end in an academy. So you have the full 5 years, from the first to the fifth. It's all one process. But there's really a separation between like a film school that it's mainly theoretical, and I studied basically in history of cinema and Italian cinema.
Ah, interesting.
And it was structured in a different way. Then I was always interested in making images, and I always kind of painted, but not really. Never thought about enrolling in a program. I was more interested in film at that time, and I felt like film wasn't really my world. I always had these fixed images that are not in movement in my head. And even with film, I tried always to put them in a very pictorial kind of imaginary. So then I shifted to this program in Perugia, and this master's degree, and started painting and getting my hands dirty again.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really typical to do, but I guess to me it was kind of necessary at that period of my life to have really some deep immersion in pictorial and plastic arts. So that was it.
Is this your first residency? Residency?
No, I did one recent one was in Switzerland, and it was during the lockdown, so eventually the first lockdown.
Yeah.
So it eventually lasted half a year instead of 2 months.
Yeah.
And it was quite interesting to have the time, and because it was like kind of the time like kind of stopped for a while. So I had my studio, and all the people around started fleeing from the residency because they were returning to their homes.
Yeah. You stayed?
We were left in 4, and we started in 13.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to bond really deeply with these people.
Yeah.
And it was it was really a focus period of my artistic life.
Yeah.
I could really focus on what was I doing, because it was so long, stretched in time, and it was so slow.
Yeah.
So I really put some details that I never actually did. So it was a consequence even.
Yeah.
So it was my recent experience.
We had a similar experience last year during the lockdown, that it really created a bond between the artists living and working here together, and it slowed down the work process and the thinking and the development of an idea. But it really created a great sense of community.
Yeah.
I felt this all year through last year. Could you speak a little bit about your work practice?
Okay. Well, since a couple of months I started a new series of work that I never actually did before. But I usually take images from like random, figures and shapes and colors I see wherever I'm going, and try to enhance those details and use them like a kind of guide in my work. But I'm focusing on landscapes now, because I'm really interested in not the landscape itself, but how the visually how it's perceived and elaborated in by your eye, in your brain.
Yeah.
So it's like a bunch of shapes and forms that take like a rational development and kind of work rationally in your head to explain the reality you're seeing. So what I was interested in this works, that it's a series of 3 actually, is from the moment you see something, and especially in those occasions where you are, I don't know, driving towards a mountain on a sunny day, and I don't know, you get hit by light, and then you start, as soon as you open the eyes again, you start, I don't know, shaping what you see in terms of light. And I always been interested in that, like the image before the image you actually see, and you really elaborate. So in these 3 paintings, what I did is, this is the last one, and the first 2 are actually like the 3 moments of how you elaborate an image. For example, at first you have lots of information that comes to you, and then it gradually dissolves, and it ends in a blurry kind of vision. And that was what I was mainly interested in having the image, I don't know, it's kind of in its elementary form.
Yeah.
It's not towards abstract, but it's always figurative and important to me that it's real and not something completely irrational or abstract. So that was my main focus, at least.
Well, I could see that in your first 2 paintings. They're very busy and very dense, and the last one we are sitting in front of is really entering as the sublime. So it is coming to a next category, and I think in your next month being here in Leipzig, you will probably be able to encounter a lot of sceneries, landscape sceneries. I mean, Saxony and the Elbsandsteingebirge, Caspar David Friedrich. There's a very long history, art history of landscape painting. And it's interesting that you actually connect with this long history here of the area as well, by the sujet you're working on. So I'm quite curious what will happen. And thank you very much for the interview.